Hi ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Charlie's Corner. This is part 7, I believe, of the whole ServSafe food testing series that I got going on. Now, as you guys know, I've already did chapters 1 and 2, and I even skipped to chapter 5, and now today I'm going to start on chapter 6. Now, I don't know if this is a way to cheat or not, but basically I realized that at the end of each chapter they have a chapter summary. And I'm like, the chapter summary does not tell everything that went on in the chapter, but it told the most important parts. But I figured I could read that and get a lot of the information that was out of that chapter from the summary, and then go back and highlight some like temperatures or abbreviations, anything that I've dealt with that. Because as you guys remember, the test is on November 1st, and I know it's like we have to read this entire book that has 14 chapters in it. And I'm like, okay, I work at 2 jobs, you know, and I have very limited time to do all this stuff, so it's like, okay, how am I going to remember all of this stuff and be able to pass this test on November 1st? So there's just a whole bunch of stuff in here to memorize, and I really want to do good on that test because I am trying to shoot for that $100, please. So definitely want to pass it. So I'm trying my best here to get all the information and highlight all that I need to know, and then, you know, go back and review everything and see what happens. So I'm actually going to, sorry if there's a glare in the background, no comment. I'm going to go ahead and start on chapter 6, and this chapter is called The Flow of Food, Purchasing, Receiving, and Storage. And definitely anybody who plans on taking the ServSafe test in the future, or who is also studying for it, this is a good idea. This is a good way to just listen to everything I have to say about it, and definitely learn from it from not even reading the book. So, I've already went through a little bit of this chapter, and I highlighted things that I thought was important already, like purchasing food from approved reputable suppliers and following good receiving procedures will help to ensure the safety and quality of the food your operation uses. So basically buying food from places that are in good standing is a good idea. An approved food supplier is one that has been inspected and meets all applicable local, state, and federal laws. It's just basically making sure your suppliers have good safety practices. Your operation safety chain can include growers, shippers, packers, manufacturers, distributors, trucking fleets, and warehouses or local markets. These reports can be from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which is USDA, the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, or a third-party inspector. They should be based on good manufacturing practices, GMP or good agriculture practices. Make sure the inspection report reviews the following areas. And then it talks about receiving and storage, processing, shipping, cleaning and sanitizing, personal hygiene, employment training, recall program, and HACCP program or other food safety systems. Deliveries, arrange deliveries so that they arrive one at a time, and during off-peak hours, suppliers must deliver products when staff has enough time to do inspections. And under the receiving and inspecting, make sure you get a signed adjustment or credit slip before the rejected item is thrown out or given back to the delivery person. So, all very important information about purchasing and receiving products. You just basically want to make sure that you're purchasing from a company that is basically FDA, USDA certified or whatever. And make sure that once you get your stuff, everything is in good shape, has dates, whatever the case may be. So checking the temperature of various types of foods, and this is one of the parts that I probably might have issues on. Meat, poultry, and fish. Insert the thermometer stem or probe directly into the thickest part of the food. The center is usually the thickest part. That part I can remember, of course. And the thermometer stem is like the end of the thermometer. You just poke it in right in the middle, thickest part of the food. That's where it'd probably be the coldest or warmest part, is right in the middle. The ROP food, MAP, vacuum packed and satisfied food. So anything that's packed, like it could be bacon or any type of meat. Insert the thermometer stem or probe between two packages. If the package allows, float it around the thermometer stem or probe. Be careful not to puncture the package. So yeah, if it's like bacon or something, I guess you're supposed to fold it over and then put it in the middle. Other packaged food, open the package and insert the thermometer stem or probe into the food. The sensing area must be fully inserted in the food. The stem or probe must not touch the package. So, and it actually shows some pictures here. So, like, they're sticking the thermometer right in the middle of spinach or whatever it is. Or if it's milk, they stick it right in the middle of the container, but not on the package. This is where they, fold the milk over or the package over. And this is sticking the probe right in the middle of the product. And as you can see, I highlighted all the stuff that I thought was important. And I did the same thing. I went back to previous chapters that I read about and went ahead and highlighted what I thought was important. So this is also some very interesting information. I'll show you the picture right here. It says delivery should also meet the following temperature criteria. Cold food. Receive cold TCH food, which is temperature control. Temperature control, I forgot the last word on that. I'll definitely have to go back and look that up, but it's temperature control something. But basically, cold food, to receive cold food at 41 degrees Fahrenheit or lower unless otherwise specified. Hot food should be at 135 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Frozen food, receive frozen food frozen, reject frozen food for the following reasons. Fluids or frozen liquids appear in case bottoms. There are ice crystals on the product or the packaging, or there are water stains on the packaging. This may be evidence of thawing and refreezing. The food in the photo at the left shows evidence of thawing and refreezing. So if you ever get food that has like cold, like I said, ice crystals on the product or packaging, water stains or whatever, that means that they were thawed out and they were refroze, and that is not a good idea by any means. So once again, remember, cold food has to be received at 41 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. Hot food 135 degrees or higher, and frozen food must always stay frozen. Of course, very good information to know. Packaging. The packaging of food and non-food items should be intact and clean. It should protect food and food contact surfaces from contamination. Reject food and non-food items if packaging has any of the following problems. And this is like if you go to the store and just buy frozen products. Damage. Reject items with tears, holes, or punctures in their packaging. Likewise, reject cans with swollen ends, rusts, or dents. And I actually remember seeing that in a test question. So reject cans with swollen ends, rust, or dents. Items with broken cartons or seals or dirty wrappers should also be rejected. Liquid. Reject items with leaks, dampness, or water stains, which means the item was wet at some point, as shown in the photo at the left. So, it's like if you buy something from the store, like flour, and It shows little stains at the bottom. That means that it was wet. You don't want to get that. Also, mix to the camera. Reject items with leaks, dampness, or water stains. We already read that. Pest. Reject items with signs of pest or pest damage. That could be fruits that have worm holes in it or whatever. Dates. Reject items with expired code or use by dates. So I guess items that have use by dates is also can be a bad thing. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that, especially if you go to the store and you buy donuts or something like that. Be sure to do that. Product quality. Poor food quality can be a sign that the food has been temperature or time temperature abused and therefore may be unsafe. Work with your suppliers to define specific safety and quality criteria for the products you typically received. Reject food that has any of the following problems. Color. Reject food with an abnormal color. Texture. Reject meat, fish, or poultry that is slimy, sticky, or dry. Also reject it if it has soft flesh that leaves an imprint when you touch it. And of course, odor. Reject food with an abnormal or unpleasant odor. In addition to the guidelines above, you should always reject any item that does not meet your company's standards for quality. And of course, this is like talking about more, business, restaurant type stuff, but it's also important to know this when you're just out and about and buying stuff for yourself or your family. So, very important to know about that as well. Let's see. Eggs. We're going to talk about eggs. Eggs must be clean and unbroken when you receive them, of course. And that's even when you go to the store. You want to make sure they're not broke and clean. The eggs in the photo at the left must be rejected. Reject eggs if they do not meet the following guidelines. Shell eggs must be received at an air temperature of 45 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. Liquid, frozen, and dehydrated egg products must be pasteurized as required by law and have a USDA inspection mark. And once again, USDA stands for the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Eggs also must comply with USDA grade standards. Refer to page 66 for a picture of the inspection mark, which we'll look at that later. Milk and dairy products. Milk and dairy products must be received at 41 degrees Fahrenheit or lower, unless otherwise specified by law. They also must be pasteurized and comply with FDA grade A standards. And once again, FDA stands for Food and Drug Administration. Shellfish can be received either shucked or live. Raw shelled fish, make sure that the raw shucked shellfish are packaged in non-returnable containers. Containers must be labeled with the packer's name, address, and certification number. Containers smaller than 1/2 gallon must either a best if used by or sell date. Containers bigger than 1/2 gallon must have the date the shellfish were shucked. So that's important to know as well. And live shellfish received with shell stock identification tags. These tags are shown in the photo at the left, must remain attached to the delivery container until all the shellfish have been used. Employees must write on the tags the date that the last shellfish was sold or served from the container. Operators must keep these tags on file for 90 days from the date written on them. Reject shellfish if they were muddy, have broken shells, or are dead. So, I'm actually going to try to just do my videos at 15 minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen, coming up on part 8, we are going to continue with chapter 6. So, we'll be right back after this. Be sure to comment. Let me know what you guys think about this, and we'll be right back.